Since the I-Team first told you about the 764 in April, authorities say the group's activity has sharply increased, even comparing it to a terrorist organization. Members methodically coerce and extort minors to produce heinous materials, self-harm, sexually explicit acts, even suicide. Tonight, we're speaking with experts on how to protect your children from exploitation. 764 operates not only in the United States, but all over the world, using threats, blackmail, and perverse manipulation to groom children for violence and pain, forcing them to perform depraved acts against themselves and others.
When we started seeing these reports concerning online enticement, but with extremely egregious sadistic elements, our team immediately knew this was an outside of the norm and began tracking this trend specifically.
Fallon McNulty is executive director of the Cyber Tip Line at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and says members of 764 start to groom their victims on seemingly innocuous platforms and blackmail them into producing sexually explicit material or harming themselves or even other children.
Offenders are first making contact with children through online gaming platforms or through social media, and then trying to move children to more private or encrypted messaging spaces.
The more debased and violent the image or video a member is able to coerce a child to produce, the higher their standing in the 764.
They're striking up communication or chat in gaming. They are trying to seek what that child's interests are, what that child's vulnerabilities are, their personal information, and then they're using that against the child.
The FBI now comparing 764 actions to those of terrorist organizations.
Lots of commonalities with other types of terrorist activity.
Javed Ali worked at the FBI and National Security Council during the Trump administration.
All this activity that is just so reprehensible, what's to say that they wouldn't go to another level and try to commit an act of terrorism, even though it may not be part of the origins or the initial ideals of what the 764 network tries to do.
But there are real challenges to dismantling a network that exists all over the world and primarily online.
How do you, either from a parenting side or from a sort of national security perspective, how do you get your arms around it? Because it is so vast and it's so unregulated.
Tonight at 10, more on the methods and tactics of the 764 network. We speak to the parents of those who've been targeted. We also have resources on how to report suspicious online activity to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children with this story on our website.
There's so much vulnerability out there, especially with the number of victims here.
Right, the number of victims and the age, right? We're talking about young kids that are being groomed in this situation. It's just incredibly disturbing.